Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Have you ever thought about how waiting for someone else to make a move in a real-life situation, like before you commit to a big project or even just share your idea, changes everything? Today we're diving into a study that explores exactly this. It turns out when you choose to act can be just as important as what you choose to do, especially when it comes to working together. So what is the big question here? Researchers wanted to understand something really fundamental about how we cooperate as humans. We often have to make decisions at the same time as others, or one after another, like in a game. But in real life, things often happen in real time. You can choose to go first, or wait and see what the other person does. Does this choice of when to act actually change whether we cooperate or not? And if so, how? Imagine you are in a group project, everyone needs to chip in. But if someone doesn't, you still get to share the benefit. This is a classic social dilemma. For decades, scientists have studied how people decide whether to cooperate or take the easy way out. We know that if one person cooperates, others are more likely to as well, and vice versa. But most studies look at either everyone deciding at once or one person deciding, then the next with their roles pre-assigned. This new research looks at a more common scenario, a situation where both people have a shared window of time and can decide when to commit their action. The word endogenous here basically means that the order of who goes first or second isn't decided by an outside authority. Instead, it emerges naturally from the player's own choices of when to act. Pretty cool, right? Now, for the experiment, they set up a simple game, a version of the prisoner's dilemma, which is a standard way to study cooperation. Participants were put into pairs and had to decide whether to cooperate or defect. Cooperating meant a small loss for themselves, but a larger gain for their partner, and vice versa for defecting. The key difference was the timing structure. They had 3 scenarios. First, simultaneous, where both players decided at the same time without knowing what the other was doing. Second, sequential, where one player was assigned to go first, and the second player saw their choice before deciding. And third, the real-time scenario, which is the most interesting. Here, both players had a 60-second window. They could choose to cooperate or defect at any point during that minute. Whoever made a decision first became the first mover, and their choice was immediately visible to the other player. The other player could then make their decision. So, if player A decides to cooperate at 10 seconds, player B sees that at 10 seconds, and then decides what to do before the 60 seconds are up. This means the decision order wasn't assigned, it was created by the players themselves through their choices of when to act. And what did they find? Drumroll please! The real-time interactions led to the most successful cooperation. Nearly 2/3 of the pairs managed to cooperate with each other when they were interacting in real time. That is significantly more than the other 2 scenarios. In the assigned or the sequential condition, about half the pairs cooperated, and in the simultaneous condition, where they decided at the same time with no information, less than a third cooperated. So, real-time interaction definitely made a difference. Now, here is where it gets really interesting. You might think that in the real-time setting, people who are naturally cooperative would just jump in early and lead the way, making first-mover cooperation higher. But that is not what happened. The study found that the rate at which people chose to cooperate when they were the first mover was actually very similar between the real-time scenario and the assigned order sequential scenario. So why did real-time interaction boost overall cooperation? If it didn't boost early cooperation, the secret sauce was in the second movers. When people were deciding second in the real-time condition, they were much more likely to reciprocate cooperation than when they were in the assigned order sequential condition. This is the key finding. The real-time setting didn't necessarily make the first person more cooperative. Instead, it made the second person more confident in responding cooperatively when the first person actually did cooperate. The researchers developed a model to explain this. They call it a belief-dependent reciprocity model. It suggests that in the real-time situation, when you choose to go first and cooperate, it sends a much stronger signal about your true intentions than if you were just assigned that role. Think about it. If you decide to go first and cooperate in real time, you are giving up the chance to wait and see what the other person does. You are essentially taking a risk. This voluntary commitment, this choice to take a risk, signals something powerful. It tells the second mover, I am really committed to cooperating even though I could have waited. This strong signal makes the second mover more willing to trust and reciprocate that cooperation. If the first mover was just assigned their role, their cooperation might not carry as much weight because they didn't have to make that strategic choice to act early. So it's not that people suddenly become more inherently good or prosocial in real time. Instead, the meaning of their actions changes. The ability to wait and observe makes a voluntary early cooperative act a more credible and powerful signal of true cooperative intent. Let's look at the details of the timing. The researchers analyzed when people made their decisions. In the simultaneous game, decisions happened randomly within the time window in the assigned order game. Well, it was assigned. But in the real-time game, they saw something interesting. While cooperators tended to decide fairly early, defectors often delayed their decisions, sometimes right up until the deadline. This delay for defectors is a sign of strategic thinking. They are using the timing flexibility to avoid being the first to defect, perhaps hoping the other person will cooperate. When they analyzed the data, they found that the potential cooperation rate, meaning what people would have done if they had been the first mover, was actually a bit lower in the real-time scenario than in the assigned order scenario. This confirms that not everyone is eager to be a first mover and cooperate, and some who might have cooperated strategically waited. But, as we discussed, the ones who did act early and cooperate sent a very strong message. Now let's focus again on those second movers. They reciprocated cooperation much more often in real time. The researchers checked if this was because, by chance, more nice people ended up being second movers in the real-time scenario. They measured something called social value orientation, or SVO, which tells you how much someone cares about others' outcomes. The SVO scores were pretty much the same for second movers in both conditions. This tells us that it wasn't just a different crowd of people playing the second mover role. It was the same kinds of people, but their behavior changed because of the real-time interaction itself. This leads us back to that belief-dependent reciprocity model. It explains that when you see someone voluntarily choose to cooperate early, knowing they could have waited, you infer that they have a stronger commitment to cooperation. This increased confidence in their intentions lowers your own threshold for wanting to reciprocate. Essentially, the strategic choice of timing in the real-time setting made the first mover's cooperation a more reliable signal. This improved signaling then made the second mover more likely to pay it forward with their own cooperation. It's like saying, I trust you so much, I am going to trust you back. So what does this all mean for us? It means that the context in which we make decisions matters a lot, especially when it comes to cooperation. In situations where we have the flexibility to choose when to act, our early cooperative gestures carry more weight. They become more credible signals of our true intentions. This has big implications for things like building trust in teams, designing institutions, or even in social entrepreneurship. When people voluntarily commit resources or ideas early on, under uncertainty, it can signal a stronger commitment and encourage others to join in. It's about how the risk you take when you act early makes your commitment more believable. Now, like all studies, this one has its limits. They used pairs, so we don't know for sure if this effect scales up to larger groups. Also, they looked at a one-shot game, meaning people only played once. It would be interesting to see if this effect holds up over longer periods of interaction. Future research could explore how sustained exposure to these real-time dynamics might even shape our preferences to be more cooperative over time. To wrap it up, this study is a fascinating peek into how we navigate social dilemmas. It shows that when we have the choice and the subtle strategic dance of timing ourselves, our early acts of cooperation become powerful signals. These signals are key to building trust and fostering cooperation, not just by making people more prosocial, but by making their cooperative intentions clearer and more credible. So next time you are in a situation where you can choose to act early or wait, remember that your timing might be saying more than you think. What do you all think about this? Does this idea of timing changing the meaning of our actions resonate with you? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this journey into the mind of social cooperation, please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more science deep dives. We'll see you in the next one.